to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmidty, Swanee and Clarkey visit crimes and run them through their jury of 3, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right, how are we?
Yeah, great.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Awesome. Any news?
No, nothing. I mean, it's been a long time.
I know, it's been a couple of minutes. Went upstairs, checked on my puppy dog, and he's fine. He's pretty much like yours, only bigger, Swanee, sitting on a bed doing the same thing. Quite happy. Hi, Artie.
Yeah,
look at his little grey ears.
Look at that sweet
He's
face.
very cute.
Hello, Dilly.
He's very cute. Hello, Arthur.
Hello.
Yeah, that's about it. And got another drink.
I love it when I say to him, we're podcasting today. And he knows. He just knows. And then when I go, come on, Dee, we've got to go. Are you coming to podcast? And he
Why do you call
follows
him
me.
D when his name is Arthur?
I don't know. I call him lots of different Diddy. I don't know. Some of us call him Diddy. One of his names is, but I normally call him La Dee La Dee. Dee La Dee, D Mouse. There's one name that Jeremy's got some absolute corkers. I don't know. They're all derivative. Where it starts as something, then it becomes a silly derivation of the other thing.
We took Pino to a pub the other day, and there was people there who we told them her name was Pino, and they've got a dog called Pino. And the woman is going, and do you get called Peony?
No, she's not a dick.
We do not call our dog Peony.
Peony.
By accident, maybe. But
Oh.
not on
She's got a
purpose,
pink
no.
vest on with Pino written on the side of it.
Peony. You can't call
Peony.
your dog
No.
Peony. It just sounds like
It's a little penis.
A little weenie peony.
We're so mature.
We always giggle at customer codes at work because there's a few funny ones. Anyway, someone's just set up a business called Wangaratta Flashings, and they've got a an account set up with us.
Wang
and
Flash.
Wang Flash.
What's that?
Wangaratta Flashings. It's just the shortening
Wang.
of it. Wang Flash.
What's
your
what's
wanger.
A wang.
What are flashings?
Oh, the
No.
Oh,
As a
steel
company.
things you
Flashing.
fold up.
Steel
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever used a jerry can?
Wang
don't know if
Flash.
I haven't edited that episode yet, so I don't know if I've kept that in for our listeners, but that could be an in-joke. I'm not sure. But
I've still never even seen one in
Swanee
real
and
life,
her-
I don't think.
have you ever actually used a jerry can?
Do you have a lawnmower?
Yes, Swanee, I have.
No,
I have a man who has
Okay.
one. Yeah.
we don't have a lawnmower, no.
I suppose then we should introduce ourselves. I'm Schmidty.
I'm Swanee.
And I'm Clarkey, and together we are
Trial by
Wine.
And what are we drinking?
My second Coke now.
Right.
We're still on the red claw.
We're on the red
You're
claw.
on the Red Craw,
Yeah.
Pinot Noir, and I'm still on the mango chutneys. Although this is my third, but there's still a whole one in there. So I've topped up.
Hang
this bit.
on.
We're not going to hold
When
you
you
to
say
it.
there's a whole one in there, is that 2 that's the whole one, or is that half of 3 in the second one? Is 3 a full can, or is 3 a half can?
Swanee, you can do the
now.
math on
Sorry,
that.
this glass is now all of 3 and
Stop
some
it.
of 2.
Right, so you're
So
pretty
I'm
much
1
2
and a
in, and this is
one and a
gonna-
half in, one and 3/4
So
in.
should we look to you being a little bit fucked up towards the end of this, or are you going to be
Hopefully
okay?
not, because it's my story.
Woo, I had a number of romantic dinners with my husband in the last week or so.
I thought you were going to. That was a
because
something
we were,
saucy.
just he and I were
salacious.
travelling. So
Yes.
I told him his story. I don't even know where it came out,
Go
but
on.
it was to do with my fear of math. And I told him, I said to him, you know that
This is
I said,
romantic. Yeah.
sometimes, yeah. I said, I reckon it probably happens every couple of months, so maybe once every 3 months or so. I said, I have a dream that I'm in a work environment and I'm at work, and it's usually like an advertising agency or something like that, and I'm not billing any of the work that I'm doing, like none, like nothing, because I don't know how to do it and I don't know how to do maths. So I've combined 2 fears, the fear of maths
Public
with the
humiliation.
fear of having not billed
Getting
the
in
work.
trouble for not billing.
And so everyone's going, this is fabulous, guys. And
I'm going to
thinking,
get
yes,
caught
but
out.
Yeah,
I
nobody's
haven't
paid
done
for it.
any billing. I haven't billed anything for a
That's
year or
a
whatever it is.
nightmare.
It is a nightmare, yeah. And getting caught out on that, that is my nightmare. And it's a recurring nightmare.
It's
It's people have, that's my
root of
horror
your
story.
stress.
Yes.
Mine's always toilet based.
Is it?
I have those horror stories. usually
like
what's happening is
podcasting from a toilet.
No, that was fine because I wasn't actually in the toilet. But usually in these nightmares, I'm in a public toilet, but there's no door, or it's a throne in the middle of a room for no apparent reason, and I'm busting to go to the toilet, and it's
Maybe you need to go to the toilet in the dream?
I need to go to the toilet in real life is what's happening.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
And
in real
so
life,
in my dream is saying, hey, lady, go to the toilet.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I'm back at high school, back in the all-girls Catholic school, and there are girls around to humiliate me.
Oh.
And so that's, the root of my insecurities. There you go. Share that. We may cut that out.
Go.
No, it doesn't really matter.
I do.
It's usually we related.
And mine is maths related. Maths and money, finance.
Really?
Getting caught out. Yes.
Mine's just piss and
but
shit.
it's only dawned
in
on
public.
me.
Yeah.
It's only really dawned on me how prolific it must be if that is my reoccurring awful nightmare. And when it's happening, I'm like, oh, I think we're in that nightmare.
Is that the real reason you gave up work?
Because I hadn't been feeling anything.
Oh, we're going to catch you out.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just leave.
These are
Maybe you just
fantastic
need
ideas.
a personal bank account with a certain amount of money in it, so you know we've got it there, and you know, and you never touch it, but it's there, so it can just dial back your fears about money.
Oh God, is that crazy? Anyway,
No, I think it's
that,
just
but I don't know how to do it either. Like that is the math part of it. I'm too scared to do it because it's like when I did maths at school and it was fine until it wasn't.
Of course,
and then
you
when
can
it got
do maths though. You can add
no, but
up.
then it got beyond
and
me, like in year 12 or whatever else, and I was like, I
Of course
can't
it was
do that.
R&D. They
Yeah.
called it R&D, and I begged my mum to let me do the easy maths.
Yeah.
And she said, no, you're not doing that. She fought, and I remember crying in the year 11 coordinator's room going, I don't want to do R&D. I want to do the easy maths. If I do the easy maths, I'll get a better mark on my VCE. Mum's like, no, you have to do the hard maths. I was so shit at the hard maths.
Bernadette.
And
We
you know
call
what?
it veggie maths.
If I'd done
Maths
the
in
veggie
space, we
maths,
called it
I
in
probably would have had
New South
5
Wales.
extra points on my frickin' VCE
Maths in
score
space.
and been able to go do something other than a pissy arts degree. Thanks, Bernadette. Yes. Don't worry. I told her off in
She
life
sounds like
about that
Bernadette.
too.
But
Of
it
course
is
I sound like
Yes.
Bernadette. She was my mother. Of course I
But
sound
But
like
the way
her.
you said yes, I said that's
Yes.
Bernadette. You're channeling her now.
So you know that feeling when it gets away from you and you can't keep up. It's away. The knowledge is gone. So the knowledge isn't gone. You never had it, but it's got away from you. And you can't catch up, and that's how I feel in this dream. Like my skill set, my math is not able to solve the problem of getting on top of the billing. Even I just don't know what to do. I've got no idea. That's the fear. Yeah,
Well, that sounds like a hopelessness, like a fear of being
it's very stressful in the
incapable.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you thought about reaching out to a counsellor at all?
No.
Well, if it persists, perhaps it might be
That's
worth.
what you guys are for.
Why
True,
are you here?
true.
Because I can't
we
do
have
maths.
this weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a fear of math.
The counsellor
Oh,
would go,
well.
I can't do it either. I'm a counsellor.
She'd be like, we're dealing with people who have had this, that, and the other, and you're telling me you're fearful because you're scared of maths.
It's not maths. I think it's.
Oh, no, it
Anyway.
is maths. I know.
It's maths.
It's definitely maths, but I get that. And then the dream, yes.
I think you have enough maths to be able to manage billing. If you just started if you worked in a marketing agency, I think you could key in the amount of hours that you did for billing times $50 equals that. I think you'll be fine. I think
In
you
the
could do it.
dream, it's totally beyond me.
Times 10%. Well, I'll tell you what, Swanee, you don't have to. You have a finance department and they do it for
Yeah,
you. All
they
you
can
have to
sort
do
it
is
out.
mark down the number of hours that you've worked. That's all
I know
you
I
have to do.
understand all of that in real life, but in the dream, it's so on me and then I haven't done it. And then it's kind of a secret / a lie that I haven't.
Oh, that is very scary.
It is.
That
That's
is.
awful.
That's a real nightmare. All
Yeah.
right. Well, let's move on from that
Let's.
nightmare to another nightmare.
I like your
The boys at work, we've done all of our drinks. We did, yeah, so we are there. Okay, so yes, allow me to tell you this next story, which is a bit of a nightmare. So unlike Clarkie's last episode, which had no murder or aggravated assault or, what did you say? Rape. This one has it, has all of those things. It's a
Oh, tick, tick, tick.
tick, tick, it's a return to form.
It's a
That's
trial
right.
by one classic.
Yes, yeah. Well, turns out it's a really famous case that I'd never heard of, one of those. My sources today are Wikipedia, EBSCO, Research Starters, Murderpedia, Crime Library, AETV.com, WhoHistory.org, and TheGuardian.com, and probably some others that I haven't referenced, but it all
Who
brings them all
History?
together.
I've got no idea where we're going with this or where we are. You've given me no clues.
I'm not
None.
sure that WHO history isn't spelt wrong, if I'm honest.
Is it like World Health Organization history, or is it
No,
as it spelled?
when I took that down, I have a feeling that's been auto-corrected, but when I wrote it down, I thought it was in reference to the state that this happened in America. Could have been
Houston.
Wyoming. So
Oh.
this could have meant to be, I don't know. Anyway.
What was
that's
the
I've
other
got.
stuff you said? AET, or what was that one?
ATV. So that,
Yeah.
I think, is a crime.
American
Discovery
Entertainment TV.
Yes,
Oh,
TV
okay,
thing, yeah.
alright.
And the Guardian.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
know.
They had an
Good,
article about this
Accident
case.
and
So-
Emergency TV.
No, it wasn't that, I don't think, yeah. So I actually came across this case ages ago when I was researching that guy who killed his parents and ran away to Australia.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
those? He's like
yeah.
Queensland.
5 minutes out from getting out on parole and then he
Swanee?
disappeared. Yeah, she
I remember
remembered something. Look at that.
Seamlessly.
Tambourine Mountain, in point of fact, is the cemetery that he is buried in. That's right.
I'd
Oh,
forgotten
I think I said that to
but
Jeremy
now
the other day. I
remember
wonder
it.
if what.
Mr. Tambourine Man. Mr. Tambourine
I
Man.
don't know if I
That
was
one.
lying. I'm going to have to find that
You
out.
were
It's very funny.
lying? What?
No, there's this very pointy mountain behind
Tambourine Mountain
Tambourine.
in Queen-
Noosa, and I said to Jeremy, I think that's Tambourine Mountain, and I don't actually really know if it is or not, but I'm going to look right
Neither
now.
do I.
It's too
I know on
high.
the
They put-
Sunshine Coast there's the Tambourine Mountains, isn't it? Is it that, or is it Tambourine Mountain? One. I can't remember. Oh, Glasshouse
I don't know.
Mountains is what I'm thinking
No,
of.
it was
Man
not what
was
it's not what I-
buried in
it's not what I was-
Tambourine Mountain, I think, cemetery.
It's not what I was looking at. It's not what I was looking at. I was looking at something else.
Hey,
I got it wrong.
Mr. Tambourine Mountain.
Mr. Tambourine. Mr. Tambourine Man. Mr. Tambourine Man. Yeah. Anyway.
Had it wrong.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing the
Man.
William Shatner version, which is much funnier. And I found it on YouTube, FYI. Anyway, so I came across this then, and then I put a pin in it because it's a lot, as I've just alluded to in terms of nightmares. But now's the time to come back to it. It was so violent and so nutty at the time that I just thought, goodness me. And I'd never
Nutty.
heard of it. It was nutty, crazy, wacky, psycho. It was just nutty.
Nutty.
Nutty, I
Nutty.
tell you, nutty.
Nutty's
like a
the funny word.
fruitcake.
Nutty.
Oh,
It's
look,
such a posh.
a lot of
Oh,
people out there are going to be very
nutty.
upset about us using these words.
I wasn't using it. You were.
Oh, no, I'm totally using it. Yes, it was
Okay.
nutty, I tell
Nutty.
you. Nutty. That's right. And it's the kind of violence and the kind of unnecessary brutality that Bonnie and Clyde undertook. It's not Bonnie and Clyde themselves, but it's that kind of scenario. Unlike Bonnie, though, who was completely balls in with Clyde, there has long been a question
I think he
as
was
to
balls in with her.
as he
Yeah.
was, as to whether the young lady in this story was a psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est, or a terrified victim. So let's see what you think.
Is what's the word? What was the name of that movie with Juliet?
Yes,
What's that called?
Yes.
psycho killers,
Natural Born Killers.
natural born killers,
Is
and
this
bad
based on that?
lads.
Becky, Juliet,
I
Lewis.
believe this inspired some of this.
Natural
some
Born
of it.
Killers. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen that, but I believe from
Neither
what I was
have I.
reading that this is one of those sorts
Is
of
that
cases
her and
that
Woody
inspired it.
Harrelson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot
Yes. Quite
Nutty.
nutty.
that.
The funny thing about it is I watch Gogglebox UK, and there's a couple of people from Wiltshire in there, and they refer to each other as nutty all the time. And that's all I can think of at this moment is them going, nutty? Yeah, but it's nutty.
As in you're nutty?
I think they are, and they are both a bit nutty. So, you know, I
Right.
think it's just a,
That fits,
what do
darling.
you call it? Like all your diddy names for Arthur, like a pet name. They've got pet names for each other.
Yeah.
So Charles Starkweather was born on the 24th of November in 1938 in Lincoln, Nebraska, into a working class family with 7 children, because this is pre-TV.
Mm.
His father, Guy, who was a guy, but is also called Guy, worked as a carpenter but struggled with rheumatoid arthritis, which meant the family income was unstable at best, and his mother, Helen, worked as a waitress to help make ends meet. So he grew up in a household where there are a lot of mouths to feed, 9, that's a lot, and parents who were doing their best, but they weren't the rich kids on the block by any stretch of the imagination. Also, it's 1938, and he's one of multiple children, so we've got to remember that it's not far out of the Depression.
When you've got 9 mouths to feed, do you have a 9-seater table and a 9-setting cutlery thing, or do you go, you get the 4 plates, you get the bowls, and you can have a bread plate? Because I can't believe they'd have a 10-piece dinner setting.
Well, it's 1938. I mean, they might have had stuff that was handed down from other
Probably out off the
grandparents and
floor.
stuff. I'm not sure about that. But, you make a valid point. But I'm pretty sure they would have had old cutlery from dead grandparents, like I have lots of in my house.
It's not posh 9 mouths to feed eating. It's
No, don't imagine a ballroom with a large table and 9 mouths. I think
That'd be
there
nutty.
were probably a lot of nose to tail eating and just whatever they could get. So it would have been, all tough meat cooked for ever on an aga.
Yeah.
With, and we don't throw out the potato skins. We've all that good nutrition.
Good roughage.
Nourishing. Anyway, at school, our friend Charles did not thrive. He had a speech impediment.
Because he didn't eat well.
Bowed legs, which might have something to do with his diet.
Oh, yeah.
And importantly, very poor eyesight that wasn't properly addressed until later. So academically, he struggled. And socially, he didn't fit in well either. By the time he got into his mid-teens, he went from the bullied to the bully. Or, as one acquaintance put it later, mean as hell when he wanted to be. He was volatile from an early stage. He could be personable, even charming, and then suddenly aggressive, resentful, and cruel. And on top of all of that, he had this growing sense of the world being unfair, of this imbalance. Other people have things that he doesn't, that he deserves, but he doesn't have them. And somehow he's been shortchanged in life, which we know is never a good starting point for one of our stories. No good is likely to come of it. So in 1956, when Charles is 18, and this is also weirdly reflective of our last story, he meets Caril Fugate, who was 13 at the time. Yes, it was the 50s, but I think even then 13 was pretty young.
She's hot as fuck. 13-year-old. Like, fucking hell.
What did you say? She was all woman at 13. Was that the Bill Wyman quote? Yeah, disgusting. And my next line was, it was these, not 1350s.
Yeah.
So that whole conversation we had off air about medieval days.
Or not 1985, like the two sisters who had babies at 14 at my school.
Oh, right.
We don't have to go all the way back to the 50s for that kind of action.
True. Anyway, 13's young is the point I was making. And this is before I'd heard your story when I wrote this. But, yeah, of course, it already sounds like a match made in heaven. But from all accounts, Charles was pretty obsessive over Caril.
Or statutory rape, as we now know.
He was 19 and would have seemed very grown up to her and was clearly the more powerful. Or was he? Now, well, I don't know. That really is, a question.
Non-fact.
Now, non-fact, yeah. Charles, not doing well at school, dropped out in his final year and took a job at a newspaper warehouse, specifically because it was close to Caril's school, which allowed him to see her every day. He taught her to drive, and unfortunately, she wasn't very good at it because she crashed his father's car, and that incident contributed to a confrontation at his home with his parents, where his parents kicked him out. From that point on, Caril became central to his life in a way that is not entirely healthy.
It was so good before.
He started telling people that they were going to get married and even claimed at one point that she was pregnant, which she was not. So it's unusual because normally
old enough?
In these stories, Clarkie always gets upset because the girl's claiming a false pregnancy, but no, the boyfriend was. So at the same time, he then got a job as a garbologist, earning around $42 a week, which even then is not enough to sustain the kind of life that he wanted.
That isn't a lot, is it?
Well, I don't know what $42 a week in 19, what did I say? 50,
I thought it was going to be all right.
Nebraska.
I thought you were going to say it was all right.
That bad. It's probably not that bad.
I was going to say, I thought relatively okay.
Yeah, but it's not a high life, right? So you're not going to go and buy cars and
who cares? Your girlfriend's a child. What are you going to do? Play dolly?
Just get her a McHappy meal every now and then and she'll be fine.
I know. How high life do you want when you're with a child?
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, but he sounds like a complete moron, in fairness.
For which bit?
He's pretty dumb and he's got a child for a girlfriend, but he's got this – the point is that he's got this thing that he should be doing better. He should have more money.
He's quite.
I mean, I'm okay with
He's
that.
I don't know that
He
he's
should
driven.
have an
I don't
older
think he's driven.
girlfriend.
He's not saying I'm going to go work for it. I'm entitled to it.
Entitled. I need
Yeah.
more.
I should have it. I'm entitled to it, yeah. So
Okay.
it's around this period that he begins to express a worldview that is both simplistic and unsettling, including the line that is often quoted in connection with him that dead people are all on the same level. It's the kind of statement
not
that in
true.
isolation might sound like teenage nihilism, but in hindsight, you might say something more serious is brewing.
I think if everyone's on the same, if it's level ground,
Death
and
is a
the graves
big
are all
leveler.
6 feet under, then they're all on the same level. But I feel like if they're on a slope, it's a little bit harder.
It's like saying everyone's shit stinks, right? So I think it's this idea that it doesn't matter how important you are, you're going to die too. Like we all die.
We all speak the same when we're dead. Shut up, mate.
We eat popcorn anyway. Is that a silent but deadly?
It's a really macabre joke. I'm sorry. My sense of humour is so bad at times. No, because corpses make noises. Sorry, that was being
Right.
really bad.
Was that
That
some
was bad.
leakage?
It was gas escaping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So again, what's important contextually for the time is that this story plays out only a year after James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause came out. And that's all about teenage rebellion. So I reckon people at the time, and the way that Charles Starkweather dresses, he dresses like he's a James Dean wannabe, right? So people would have looked at him and gone, he was also 5'5" and, quite stocky. So people would have gone at that idiot guy who just thinks he's a rebel without a cause, like he's that kind of, you can see
Stand
how he
up,
would
mate.
be. You can see how the people around him would not have looked at him and gone, he's a powder keg of problems that's going to explode, is all I'm trying to say. So on the 31st of November, 1957, I should stop laughing, this next bit's awful. Well, it's all awful from here on.
Okay.
Charles, I'm still laughing at all the bad jokes I made.
What day are we at? The 30th of November.
1957.
Yeah.
1950s.
So sorry, November 31, 1957.
There is no November 31. That's why I asked.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's
so
what I had
30
in my
days.
notes.
That's
Somewhere
rarer than
between
the
the
29th.
30th of November. I don't know. I must have missed time. Hang on, I'll find it. Hang on, I'll find this out because this is that's an important thing. Hang on.
Maybe it was the 1st of December.
I know. I think I do know what happened here. So the November 30th, Charles goes to this petrol station or gas station to try to buy a stuffed toy for Caril, and this is in Lincoln. And the fuel attendant refused to sell it to him because he wanted it on credit.
So he goes
So the
back the
next
next day.
1st of December,
I'll
yes.
fight you up.
He comes back, yeah, but this time he's carrying a shotgun.
Oh.
He fronts
makes
up to
sense.
Robert Colvert, who was 21 at the time, and he had a young family. I think he had just been discharged from the army, young Robert. And
I'm glad you didn't have an old family given his age.
correct, right? Well, I mean, who
Gary,
knows? The last
Charles.
episode, right?
I know, right?
Could be going out with Bo Derek, But then, yeah, so he stole around $100, which is about $1,000 in today's money, which would make
He's
the
$42
$420 a week. Yeah, there you go. Now we have the
Maths in space.
So you can do it. You can
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
Oh, goodness me. Look at me.
Anyway, so it comes back, he nicks about $1,000. Then he forced Robert into his car and then he drove out of town with Robert. Now,
Oh.
according to Charles, who's the only witness to what happens next, there was a bit of a struggle and Robert was shot multiple times, including a fatal shot to the head. As I say, it's just his version of events and he could have just shot Robert multiple
Could have been
times.
no
With
struggle.
struggle.
But did Charles get the doll? Did he get the fluffy thing? That's what I
I
want
mean,
to know.
that's, yeah, it's
Stuffed
not-
toy.
Stuffed toy. Stuffed toy. That's what I
Was
thought.
he on bloody Centrelink?
That's what I thought at first.
Then why would he be on the doll?
He's getting $420 a week. Why would he be on the doll? I had the same thought. Oh, what? Did he get the doll?
You start allowance.
No, you mean the stuffed toy, right?
Settling.
I was with you, Stewie. I'm like, what?
Right.
Anyway, yes. No, I think he did because he went home after killing Robert, probably with the doll / stuffed toy, and told Caril what he'd done, that he'd killed this guy. And she does nothing.
Oh.
Well, because he would have said, I was getting you a doll, and she would
Right
have
then.
probably deserves it.
Well, we don't know. She might have thought he was kidding. She might have been terrified. Or she might have thought that he did a good thing. Great, as you say, he deserved it. No worries.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You
we
know,
don't
but
really
did you
know.
get-
Did you get the doll? Yeah, that's right.
Are we rich?
There's no way to know what she thought, but we do know that
Because-
she didn't do anything.
Wonder if they got rent assistance back then.
Because we can't read her mind.
I
and
thought
we
you were going
can't
to
go
say
back in
because he
time.
might have cut
Killed
her tongue
her?
out or something.
No, because we can't read her mind. So we don't really know what she thought at the time. We can make all sorts of assertions as to what we think might have happened.
Which is
But
standard behaviour for us.
what we do know is that she didn't tell anyone and she didn't report this to anyone.
Okay.
We do know that. Then we go to January 21st, 1958.
Right.
And Carol's mother and father and little sister are at their home. Now, according to Carol, she had actually broken up with Charles on the 19th of January, so 3 days before this.
So she didn't have any issue with the fact that he shot the other guy.
We don't know. The story goes that she was told about this other guy. It's quite possible she just didn't believe him. Or
Here's your stuffed toy. I went to quite a lot of effort.
exactly. But you've got
You better
$1,000
enjoy
and you
it.
bring me that? Like, where'd you
Here's-
get that $1,000 from? But
Here's
you bring
Teddy.
me a blood-soaked stuffed toy. So it's the 21st of January. Carol's mother and father and little sister, who was 2-year-old at the time, are at their home. Velda and Marion Bartlett were not fans of the relationship between Carol and Charles. And as I say, Carol says that she'd broken up with him. So I think she might not have been a big fan of his either. And they'd pretty much told him to rack off. So he shows up at their house, and according to him, they jumped him. So he responded in self-defense by shooting them both dead and then beating the 2-year-old daughter, Betty Jean, Carol's baby stepsister, to death.
What? Could you just repeat that last bit? What did he do to her?
He shot them both to death and then he beat their 2-year-old
I
daughter,
thought-
Betty Jean, to death. Yeah. I don't think Betty Jean
Why?
came at him.
I don't think Betty Jean was his
jumped
lover.
him. No, she wasn't, nor was Billy. Carol said that she wasn't there at the time. Or she came home and just Charles was there and he'd already killed her mother and stepfather and stepsister,
Hi, I've been waiting for you.
but he didn't tell her that. According to her,
Yeah.
it was, do what I need you to do or I'll kill your family. And she was pretty scared of him, according to her. Charles had actually stashed their bodies, I believe, in the outbuildings, and I can't remember, like one was in a chicken coop and one was in an out toilet or something gross. And then they stayed, the two of them, at the house for 6 days.
Oh,
Carol-
the smell.
Well,
Did
they were
Carol
outside.
know that her parents were dead then?
I think through that
She might-
process,
yeah.
she found out that they were dead, certainly. And even if she didn't know to start with, because his
She
story
went to
is-
fetch the eggs from the chicken coop.
said that she was there when he killed her family. She says she wasn't there. And apparently it's likely she wasn't there.
One of them's
So-
truth stretching.
He's a bit nutty,
He'd be
and I'm
prone
not
to that.
sure. I'm not sure that we can trust him. He's an unreliable witness.
Yeah.
So at any rate,
Unreliable historian.
yeah, he's an unreliable historian. So Carol, there was some evidence that Carol wasn't there. Anyway, so she comes back. She's there. I think she absolutely knows that either he's killed her family, he's killed some of her family, and he could kill again, because she turned everyone who visited away, saying that the family was sick with the flu, and she put a sign on the door saying, "Stay away,
You've got
everybody
COVID,
who's sick with the
move on."
flu." Close the flu.
Flu's a killer this year.
Absolutely. But she signed it Miss Bartlett. And she said it was her way of trying to signal to people that there was something wrong, because Betty Jean was the only Miss Bartlett in the house, because her name was Caril Fugate, because Betty Jean was her stepsister. So at one point, the police officers even came to the house and they spoke to her, then they left without investigating further. And this whole thing about this case, the big question
It's
about
very
it is whether
odd.
or not Carol was a willing participant in the killings or a terrified witness who was traumatized, couldn't get away from a obsessed, violent murderer. And according to her, as I said, she'd already broken up with him.
Does her pedophile boyfriend know her surname?
Fugate.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
He's not very smart, though. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. That's what I was saying before. Yeah. So in the time she was in the house with Charles, multiple people, including her sister, grandmother, brother-in-law, and Charles's brother, all knocked on the door, and she didn't say anything about what was going on or attempt to leave. And so, you know, you can read that however you like. She's 14 at this point. her ex-boyfriend just brutally murdered her family, and she figures the best way to keep everyone else safe is to send them off on their merry way. Also, it's 1958, and at the time, her contemporaries, so when we think about this from a trial perspective and the police and whatever, they weren't thinking about the trauma, the traumatic stress that she's under, all of these things. So there's a judgment factor for her contemporaries at the time, which effectively look at her and go, she's trailer park trash, and she was part of it, right? So that's the narrative that plays out.
Are we kind of going with she's 14 and she was just winging it? Didn't really have a clue what she was doing, but just
probably trying to survive. Yeah, I think, yeah. And I'm not sure that there's much evidence to suggest otherwise, yeah. But they're sort of going,
did you say, or yep?
Yep, not yet, yep.
Okay.
So I think that you could believe that she stayed because she was trying to keep people safe or just didn't know what to do. Anyway, eventually Caril's grandmother is over them not letting people in the house, and so she's threatened to call the police again. And so Charles and Caril now vacate the house. They head to Bennett in Nebraska, where Charles's friend August Meyer lives. Now, they got bogged at August's property or near
August. So does Granny tell the police now?
I think Granny does call the police. And so they're gone, right? They've taken off. I think the police at this point do go and find the bodies in the outhouse. It's not later, but they've sort of disappeared. And what takes place now happens really quickly. So we get a bang, 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 bang kind of thing happening. Yeah.
Oh.
So imagine over in Lincoln, where they come from, I think it was, that Granny's called the police. Well, they've taken off. Granny calls the police show up, they find the bodies, investigation begins. Simultaneously, pretty much, we've got them taken off and they head to Bennett and they go to poor old August Meyer's house. They'd gotten bogged, and August is a friend of Charles. And August says, oh, look, I'll get my horses out and we'll pull your car out of the mud. And on the way to the stables, Charlie shoots him dead for no apparent reason and then beats his dog to death. And at this point, Caril says that she figured the only way she was getting out of this alive was just to do whatever he said. Later that night, an unsuspecting Robert Jensen, who was 17 at the time, and his 16-year-old girlfriend, Caril King, obviously not the later famous singer, not the Caril King, a Caril King, offered the pair a ride. Charles brutally raped Caril King and then shot both Caril King and Robert Jensen. Later, Charles would say that Caril Fugate killed Caril King. Not raped, but stabbed.
Is that where the Caril King came up with the lyrics, "You've got a friend"?
I don't think so.
It's too late? I feel the earth move?
His story was that Caril, and Caril Fugate's name is spelt, by the way, Caril. Caril Fugate. Pretty spelling, yeah.
It is pretty spelling.
He says that she stabbed Caril King because she was jealous because he wanted to rape her. Oh. And so she was jealous of it. Yeah, that's right. Don't rape her. God, so revolting.
Could you imagine that as your testimony going, oh, she was jealous because I wanted to rape her? And
I'm sure he said fuck her because he didn't even see it as rape because he was a fucking moron, right? But yes.
Dumb as a box of hammers.
Dating a 14-year-old.
And it's dating a 14-year-old, 1958, and he thinks that this behaviour is all good, whatever. So Caril denied that she was anything to do with it and she'd stayed in the car when all of this happened. And again, 1958, no DNA, and the forensics were pretty rudimentary, so we only have the accounts of Charles or Caril to go by. Then they return to Lincoln and they target the home of a person called C. Lauer Ward, and I'm assuming his first name was Charles or something, but he's only referred to as C. Lauer Ward, unless it's counsellor. He was a wealthy businessman, not sure, or industrialist. Could be a Cecil, that's right. And
Craig.
Could be Craig. Craig was a popular name in Nebraska in 1958. Yeah.
I heard a South African guy call like a little boy Craig the other day, and it made me laugh out loud. I just think it's such a South African Craig.
When you hear him called Barry, then you know you're onto something. Yeah, because there are names.
Hey, stop here.
Yeah, but that's your last name, not your first name.
Yeah, my middle name is Craig. Yeah, 2 cracks at me.
They're just names that aren't as popular these days, I'm afraid.
Craig.
Yes. Anyway, so there's this C. Lauer ward, and he's this industrialist, and they are looking around for a house, and they pick his house. It's a beautiful mansion. And Charles had actually worked in the area as a garbologist earlier, so he probably was aware of the household, and it might indicate that there was some premeditation here. But the maid, Lillian Finkel, opens the door, and he kills her straight away. And they killed Clara Ward, who is the wife of C. Lauer Ward, stabbing her to death. And then when C. Lauer Ward comes home, they shoot him to death. And they also kill the family dog. He doesn't like dogs, this guy.
Oh, God.
When you say they, though, do you mean he?
Well, I think we don't know, right? He says, she was balls in with him. She says, I was just behind him, terrified, trying to stay alive. However, this is an interesting point. During their time in the house, they cut out newspaper photographs of themselves, which indicated that they were aware that there was a manhunt going on for them and that they had some notoriety. And it makes you question a little bit Caril being the whole I'm a totally innocent victim. But then again, you're in this house, he's just murdered 3 people and a dog, and he's like, let's cut out photos of ourselves. Okay, so who knows? So then they head to Washington State. They stole the car that was the Ward's house car, and they drove to Washington State. And after driving for about 10 hours, Charles thought, this car, that we've taken from the Wards, it's too hot. By that I meant, I think he meant that it was too noticeable. It was a Packard or something. It was
not overheating.
No, I think it was a fancy car, and I think they were like, we'll be picked up pretty easily in this. It's too hot. So Charles sees a parked car near the turnoff to Ayers Natural Bridge. Inside the car is a man called Merle Collison, who was
another great name.
Merle Collison. He's a 37-year-old travelling shoe salesman, and he was having a nap on the side of the road.
Mm.
So Charles tapped on the side of the window to wake him up, and then he shot Merle to death. Then another guy called, and I love his name, Joe Sprinkle showed up. He had been driving along. He saw 2 parked cars on the side of the road, thought, someone must be having a problem. I'll just roll up and say, can I help you at all? Anyway, Charles says, yeah, can you help me release the emergency brake on Merle's car? Because it's got some fancy brake release. And
on Merle's
yeah, because he's trying to steal Merle's car, basically. And Joe's like, yeah, okay. And he leans in, and what is he confronted by? He's confronted by Merle's body now stuffed under the dash, because these are these old his cars, right? So you've got a bench seat at the front and a bench seat at the back, and you've got a shit ton of space in front. So the whole body is like pushed forward, and the feet are still on the driver's side, but the rest of his body's in the passenger side under the dashboard. So, of course, Joe Sprinkle's like, what? And realises that he's walked into a terrible situation. He turns around, and as he turns around, he sees that little Charlie, what's his name, Starkweather, has got a shotty in his hand. And he's like, if this guy's going to kill me, I'm a dead man. If I don't get that gun off him, I'm a dead man. So he starts wrestling with him. And Mr. Sprinkle is 6 foot tall. He's got a physical advantage, at least, over Charles at this point. So he gets the gun off him. Now, luckily, at the same time, Deputy Sheriff William Romer shows up, and he gets out of his car. And as he gets out of his car, there's this young girl jumps out of another vehicle and starts running at him, screaming, he's going to kill me, he's crazy. Nutty, he just killed a man. The nutty was an insertion from me.
Figure now it's dead.
Now he's dead. Yes, he's just killed a man. And Charles jumped into the Ward's car, which was the Packard that was too hot earlier because he could drive it, turned it round and drove off back towards Douglas. So the deputy sheriff stayed back with Caril, who identified the fella in the car driving off as Charles Starkweather, and then he radioed for help. The police set up a roadblock, and Charles sees the roadblock and he just burns through it, right? No problem. And so that led to a high-speed car chase.
This feels like a movie, doesn't it?
Which was described as like something out of a film, correct? Yep. And the other thing that made it sound like that was the way the county sheriff, he was firing out the window at him, like
Dukes of Hazzard style.
Oh, my God.
And Dukes of Hazzard style. And he actually managed to hit the rear window. And at that point, Charles slams on the anchors, and there was a bit of a standoff, and then he surrendered. The sheriff, Earl Heflin,
Of course.
was asked. Earl
Earl and Merle, was asked why he thought he stopped, and he said, I guess he thought he was bleeding to death. That's the kind of yellow SOB he is.
Oh.
Apparently, Charles had got a little nick on his earlobe and on his hand from the glass from the broken back window.
What's the yellow reference?
He also, cowardice.
Oh.
Yellow belly. He's yellow.
Right.
He's
I thought it might
coward.
have been a racist reference.
Coward of the
No, it's not a racist reference.
I didn't know that.
No. Not in Nebraska
I
in
missed that bit of
1958.
the
I'm not
story.
sure how many Asian people were there to be racially vilified at the time, or anyone else with yellow complexion. Anyway, so apparently Charles had got cut, and he'd also run out of ammo, as it turned out, and he said otherwise he would have shot it out. They would never have caught me if I hadn't stopped. And I had to think about what he said there. They would never have caught me if I hadn't stopped, because it sounded like the dumbest thing to say, but then I realised they wouldn't have caught me if I hadn't surrendered. Makes sense. I would have taken off and I would have been fine. Unsurprisingly, he was charged with first-degree murder of Merle Collison, as they hadn't connected him to the other deaths at this point. So that was a spree in which I think 11 people were killed. No, 10 people were killed.
In what time frame?
God.
About 7-8 days.
Jeepers.
We get the first 3 deaths of her parents, her stepfather,
Sister.
her mother, and the sister. Then we have a 6-day break because they're hanging out in the house, and then they go on the run, and then it's just
Bang, bang, bang,
killing
bang.
people. And then the 11th victim is the first guy, Robert, who was killed on the 31st of November, otherwise known as the
December.
1st of
Fluffy
December. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fluffy Dice guy. Yeah.
Fluffy, yeah.
So he was returned then to Nebraska, and his trial took place in May 1958. His defence team claimed
Well, you
insanity.
say, where had he gone to where had he left? He was
So he was
cross-state.
actually in Wyoming. And I
okay.
left this out, but there was this sort of somewhat confusing statement, but about in Wyoming there was a governor, maybe. This is why I was confused by it. I couldn't work out who it was, but someone was anti the death penalty and found this guy in their territory and kind of was like, well, I'm anti the death penalty, so let's send him back to Nebraska who are not anti the death penalty.
Yeah.
And they
So
can
you
deal
get
with
fair
it.
dues. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've got on this sort of policy of, or someone was on this policy of anti-death penalty, and it was like, because they also said, but I'll happily extradite him really quickly. I'll sign the papers real quick to send him back. So it was a bit of one of those political things that overlaid a little bit. So he gets returned to Nebraska because I believe he got picked up in, well, it was something, Wyoming was involved anyway.
Yeah.
So his defence team claimed insanity, and Charles didn't like that. He didn't want them to say that. He said he was totally sane. And it couldn't really claim gratuitous stupidity. And it didn't work anyway because he was sentenced to death. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. Charles told his father, if I want to make my atonement with God and be electrocuted, that's my business. Okay. The same day, and I think this is on the day of his execution, Caril King's headstone was placed on her grave in the Bennett Cemetery. So, no, it's not. I think it is the same day. Starkweather was executed on the 25th of June, 1959. And apologies if I have got those dates confused as to when he made that quote or when he was executed. So, Caril's case was a bit more complicated, right? Because she's a 14-year-old girl. And it's not clear of whether or not she was a victim of a psycho ex-boyfriend or a willing participant and accomplice
Was
to
she
the
tried
spree
as an
killings.
adult? Do we know?
Yeah, I think she was. Yeah, she was. After she ran, now the other important thing to note that people didn't approve of her being a 13-year-old who was engaged in a sexual relationship with him.
Really?
I know,
Most
surprising.
people anyway.
But, well, in this day and age, would we
Others
look
thought
at
it
a
was
girl
hot.
like her and say, would we look at a 13-year-old and say she's the tramp because she was engaged in a sexual relationship
No, I
with
see
the
what
older
you're saying.
guy? That's the problem. Is at the time in 1958, 1959, she was considered the
In
problem, not just
1985.
him, right? So in 1985, and even perhaps now, the girl is the tramp. She's the trash. She's all these things because she was having sex with a guy, and she's
Because he's
13,
fishing in the
14.
wrong pond.
Yes, the way this played out at the time was very much she was put as a villain. She was
Yep.
pictured as a villain. And we don't really know whether she was a villain or not. After she ran to the police, physically ran to the police, she was described as very nervous and upset and in a state of shock, unsurprising. At the Douglas jail, she grew increasingly agitated until Converse County Sheriff Heflin had her sedated. The next morning, she cried and screamed for her mother, wondering why she couldn't call her parents. Heflin told reporters, "I don't think she knew her folks were killed." On Friday, when Nebraska authorities confirmed that her family was dead, Caril broke down, twisting tissues into tiny doll shapes. And by doll, I mean the effigy of a
weekly
human,
payment you get from the
not
government.
Centrelink payment. That's right. Charles told them that she was a captive and didn't have anything to do with it, and that she tried to escape several times. However, Natrona County Sheriff Roma testified that Caril had admitted to seeing her family killed and added several credible details which made it hard to know if she was in on it or not. And then Earl Heflin said she had clippings in her pocket regarding her family's murder when they picked her up. So she would have known they were dead. Whereas, she's like, why can't I speak to my mother? So then Charles decided to turncoat and blame her and say she was totally in on it and she stabbed Caril King because she was jealous. Whatever the case may be in terms of what the truth is here, the jury decided she was complicit and Caril Fugate was sentenced to prison. Life sentence. She spent nearly 18 years in jail. And because he wasn't there, she didn't do any spree killing. She was a model prisoner and she was paroled in 1976. She moved to Michigan and lived a quiet life. Sheriff Roma was convinced she had been guilty, saying, "She told me they made up a story to make her look good so she could get off. They tied up her hands and she worked them around so she got rope burns on her wrists. That way they could say she was a prisoner," indicating that Caril and Charles Starkweather had come up with this plan that she would look like she'd been held against her will. However, it's worth pointing out that the accounts of the time, no accounts of the time, say that she had any rope burns on her whatsoever or ever claimed to have been restrained. But this guy Roma was like always pushing this, she's guilty, guilty, guilty. Caril, however, has maintained her innocence her entire life. She changed her name and she married in 2007. Sadly, her having finally found love, they had a very nasty car accident and her husband was killed and her legs were crushed in 2013. She has been advocating for a pardon for herself because of the barrier that having this conviction on her has given her whole life, and that was denied in 2020. She has also had a stroke, and when I was researching this, she was in a nursing home at the time that I was researching this because she's about 80, I think now. We're left with the question that's been there from the beginning. Was she a victim or was she a participant? And, it could swing either way. But she was 14. She was isolated. She'd either witnessed or knew of her parents' death and her poor baby Betty Jean. She was in the presence of someone who had already demonstrated a willingness to kill and a severe brutality with beating children and dogs to death. She also stayed, though. She spoke to people in her family, didn't raise an alarm, and was present during multiple murders, whether or not she participated in them. There is, though, nothing in her behaviour before or after the crimes to suggest that she had any violent tendencies. So on balance, I think she was a very unfortunate young girl who had a boyfriend who didn't take kindly to being dumped and had a psychotic break and took her along for the ride.
Yeah.
The murders impacted America quite a lot at the time. It was another one of these loss of innocence moments. Natural Born Killers and Badlands was inspired by the Starkweather and Fugate case. So I was quite surprised. I'd never actually heard of it. But then again, before we started this podcast, I really actually didn't know much about true crime at all. It was my confession. And that is the little ditty of Chuck and Caril, two American kids growing up in the heartland. So what are your thoughts on that?
It's of its time.
That's horrendous.
It's of its time. It's horrendous. It's both of those things.
It's so violent without needing to be.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, agreed.
Mate, you've lost it.
Yeah.
Mate, you've lost it. You fucking lost it.
There's no
Calm
gain.
down,
You
Charles.
dirty pedophile.
Killing the 2-year-old is gross.
I think it was a bit like he started and then he just thought, well, that's it. I'm on a trajectory now, so I'm just going to be a crazy killer until I'm killed. I think he intended to die by being shot. Go out, guns blazing style, like a Bonnie and Clyde style.
I mean, I
He
don't
was
like him a lot.
Not right. No, he was not right in the head. He was nutty, to say the least.
It's one way of putting it.
I know, it was complete psychotic break. Totally lost it.
He's obvious in terms of the criminal. When you think, and it's probably good that we did the episode we did last week.
Isn't
when
that funny?
We did
It's
it,
total coincidence.
Completely
listeners.
coincidental. Yeah. But when you think about grooming, like there's all kinds of wrong in him right from the start.
Yeah.
And probably, therefore, all kinds of wrong in her by him. She should, she's young. She's a kid.
She's little, yeah.
You know, like we have issues in Victoria with, you know, underage crime and that kind of thing. And you've got violent teenagers doing house breaks and all those kinds of things. It's very clear that they're doing it. Now, even then they get treated leniently. In this, she's with somebody who is effectively a pedophile who, you know, she shouldn't be with in today's day and age, and there's no evidence she did anything.
I think she did admit to holding the gun on occasion.
Whatever. Like,
yeah.
I mean, what is that in America?
I know. Yeah. Well, yeah. The other thing that I read was that her part of what probably led to people being quite happy to throw her under the bus was her behaviour. She was a bit distant. She was a bit probably traumatised, but, you know, she came across as indifferent almost or cold, very quiet, or remote.
Sexualised.
I would say disassociated. She has just witnessed within the context of 8 days, just brutal murder. And this is the thing, right? And so they're like, she's a bit remote. I'd say she's probably a bit even I want to talk to my mother could be an indication that she disassociated to cope with the whole situation.
Well, typically that is a response of someone who,
I just didn't want to remember that even happened. Yeah, because it's so horrific. I just want to think it was a bad dream. So, I
guess what I'm saying is I can't see any evidence that she did
and billing hours.
Anything.
It's all relative, isn't it, right?
Isn't it? Yeah, get over yourself, Swanee. Sorry. I'm not sure she did anything either. And I just think it's one of those, and these middle-aged, I shouldn't say middle-aged, but, you know, these older sheriffs who are so convinced she was definitely guilty. You don't have evidence, mate, you know.
But that's why I said it's of its time. Like, of course, you're guilty because you're with him, guilty by association kind of thing, not because of anything you did.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think she's got my support based on that telling, so I might write her a letter.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Fangirl her.
Living somewhere in a nursing home in Michigan somewhere.
She was so young.
She changed her name too. It's something very similar, though.
Surely you could just write Caril with an I and it'd go to her.
You could just Google it and find her new name. There's a Facebook group you could join, which is it's a letter to Caril saying we support you, actually. Now that I think about it, I saw that in my research. So you could join that group.
I could do that. Yeah.
What about a punishment for him?
I mean, what? Which bit? It's hard.
It's so violent, yeah. And just so many people indiscriminately.
I think a good punishment for him would be to introduce contraception to his mother after the third child.
Yeah, I was thinking about chopping off his wang.
You know, you could do that too, but I'm just like, he just doesn't exist. Like, just because the people he killed too, like, there's a significant still there's an impact on people now. It was 63 years ago, but the children and the grandchildren of the people who were murdered still think about this, and it still affects their families. So it's just horrendous. I read something that I can't remember which family it was, but they didn't tell their kids about what had happened to their grandparents until they were quite a lot older, and they talked about that it has affected them and it's affected their children as well. So, you know, it's a generational trauma.
Intergenerational, yeah.
Yeah, intergenerational, yeah.
He sounds like he suffers from toxic masculinity. Like, I've just got to be, I don't know.
He's in the manosphere before the manosphere was a thing.
Yeah, maybe he's the original.
You're right. I did think that whole entitlement thing, I thought he's a real OG here, isn't he?
Yeah, you know, I think the whole getting someone who's 13 when you're 18 is a whole lot of gross and bad enough in itself, let alone everything else that goes on from there.
It also indicates that you can't get someone of your own age.
Yeah, I think it's got more to do with
I 100% think that.
The calibre of his own, you know,
of what his value, as the manosphere would say. Yes, perhaps he wasn't projecting high value
I mean, it sounds
But he
like
wasn't
it.
looks maxing.
He's certainly not an aspirational lover for anyone but a 13-year-old who all of a sudden goes, God, I'm not even aspiring to him.
Correct.
Probably within day one, but it was too late.
Yeah. So I'm sure she enjoyed because I remember when I was at school.
I don't know where you're going with that.
No, there were girls that
There
I
was
was at
this
school
one
with.
time.
No, there were
I'm
girls
sure she enjoyed what?
There were girls I was at school with who had older boyfriends. And, I'm talking about when I'm like in year 9, year 10, so 15, 16. And they had 18, 19-year-old boyfriends. And I didn't really have a view on it at the time, but the girls enjoyed this sort of posturing about their boyfriends having a car and, picking them up from school.
Yeah,
that sort of
there's
stuff. And
definitely an appeal.
all that, I've got that kind of, it's the power dynamic, right? When you're 15, that's a big deal. When you're 50, you're thinking, that's just gross, right? And you're with a loser, and you'll come to realize they're a loser later. Hopefully you didn't marry them, but maybe some of those girls did marry those boys. But if he can't find someone of his own age, then he's, to your point, swimming in that pond because he has to swim in that pond to get a girlfriend. But yeah, so Charles Starkweather was probably the OG in some ways, but also thankfully the manosphere these days just sell protein shakes and shit. They don't go around murdering people and shooting.
Maybe what he needs is
up.
having his wang chopped off and a solid dose of estrogen or something. It's just...
could be.
I can't understand that kind of behaviour that he's exhibited at all.
I find it all egregious, but I particularly find the brutal rape of Caril King egregious because everything up until then was non-sexual. And then it was just like, now I'm going to do this.
What about being the 2-year-old?
I find it egregious, the whole lot. But there's violent crime and there's, like, you could imagine in a scenario where I've just shot 2 people and the baby starts crying and I'm a psycho. I kill the baby. And he shoots all these people. So because I don't think he raped the ward woman or Lillian Fenkel, the maid. There's no evidence of sexual assault there. It's just this younger girl, to your point about young girls, 16-year-old Caril King.
I think it sounds like he's got a bucket list of egregious things he wants to do before he turns 21 or something. Like it's just
gross, isn't it?
It's all terrible. There's nothing nice about him in this entire story. Possibly that he was trying to get a doll.
No.
For his girlfriend, that's probably the only thing where you go, oh,
yeah,
but
he
killed someone and,
getting a soft toy for his child girlfriend, yeah.
I mean, he could have taken the $1,000 and the toy and just left, not putting Robbie, who had a couple of small children and his whole life ahead of him, in the back of a car for the purposes of executing him on the road.
Yeah, there's nothing nice about him.
And by the way, she wasn't there at all. He'd started on his path.
Yeah.
And part of him saying she was part of it is further abuse of her.
Yeah. Oh, at first it was like, I'll back her up, and now she's not backing me up. She's not adding to my value.
Yeah.
I'll throw her under the bus. So as far as I'm concerned, perhaps I've said that expression a couple of times now, maybe I'll throw Charles Starkweather under a bus.
Yeah.
Or backpack.
Backpack.
And no core muscles, so his legs
no core muscles and no Montanas to save him. Yeah.
No Montana.
He wouldn't want to be saved by a Montana.
If you guys Googled that, I'm pretty sure that they would be being interviewed. They'd be being interviewed. You looked it up.
For a moment there, I thought you were trying to say if you guys if you guys Google that, you'll find that they are a vegan. Is what I thought you were saying. I was like, what? Oh, they're being interviewed, right?
God,
they might be vegan, but what does that got to do with anything? Yeah, I don't know how much of the Montana story stayed in the cut. So it was a news story which we discussed earlier today for our listeners in Melbourne. Yeah. No, was it in Melbourne?
Perth.
I think it was in Melbourne.
No, it was in Melbourne.
A person accidentally found themselves stuck in a bus, half out of a bus, half in the bus, by their backpack.
A school child.
Yeah, a school kid, and had to pull themselves up by their core muscles so that they didn't end up being grated on the road. It's terrible.
Also so they wouldn't hit the cars that were parked along the road.
Oh,
and the bus driver wouldn't stop. So when
I didn't know they were there.
When they found out that there was someone banging on the side of the bus, they looked down, saw the boy who was there, yelled to the bus driver stop, and he wouldn't. So the only reason it stopped was because they stopped at the next bus stop.
Pull the string. Isn't that shocking? God,
Yeah.
that bus driver's going to lose their job.
Yes, he has lost his job.
Yeah.
That was about the only sort of thing that was any sort of ramification of what had happened. I think it might have happened last week, and the kids totally traumatised.
Of course they would be.
And the importance of the moral of the story is do your core exercises. Children.
Absolutely.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you for joining me on that.
Thank you.
And thank you both for injecting some lighthearted moments along the way, because it was a pretty full-on story.
Precisely.
I did particularly enjoy the doll. Centrelink, what?
Yeah.
And on that note, as we say every week, miss you already.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.